What happens when Azeroth is born? The last Titan that might not be. See, the interesting part about this is we've talked about the fact that Azeroth is actually a prison. We looked at hints in the cinematic and everything like that. But whether it's a prison or just a shell that, Azeroth is growing inside of, what happens when she comes out? Do we just all die? Does the planet explode? Is there a rebirth at the surface? I don't know. Well, let's see what Taliesin and Evitel have to say about what's going to happen when Azeroth is finally born.
This video is sponsored
Or
by
freed, I guess.
Squarespace.
The Titans are at the center of World of Warcraft mythology, the beings that ordered and sculpted not just our in-game planet of Azeroth, but countless other worlds throughout the universe. They cleansed our planet of the corruptive Black Empire parasites, built impossible engines to regulate the environment, and left their own children, the Watchers, to keep things running in their absence, as they continue their benevolent quest among the stars. Whether we're exploring Titan facilities to uncover the mysteries of Azeroth and her inhabitants, fighting back the encroaching void monstrosities from their technology, or even battling to survive fallen members of their kin, the Titans are the constant, unmissable presence at every point during the game. A mystery to be unraveled, an ancient empire to explore, gods that could be
so
glimpsed but
anymore.
never touched. But then something changed all of that completely. The release of Chronicle in 2016 canonized a fan theory first put forward by Anne Stickney of WoW Insider, now a senior narrative designer on the game, that our planet Azeroth was herself a Titan, that all Titans are incubated within and born from their own planets, and that the reason Armenthal and his celestial gang, and indeed Sargeras and the Burning Legion and the old gods along with them, have always shown such especially keen interest in our planet is because beneath the...
This is the thing about that I've always said. Why are all these enemies, everyone kind of jokes about, oh, we're going to kill one baddie and the next one's going to arrive for the next expansion. And while it is kind of a running joke that there's, Azeroth's constantly being attacked, I've always felt like it's part of the story of Azeroth. That the fact that it's always being attacked, the fact that things are always happening to it, the fact that the void and the light are basically fighting over it is because it's special. There's something extremely special about our planet that's different from all the others. Azeroth is not your typical, maybe if you're going to call her a Titan, if she is one, she's not your average Titan. So there's something different about her. And we're going to figure out more about that, I think, in the War Within and everything else that's going to happen over the whole Soul Saga. But it's definitely something different about Azeroth, and that is why the existential crisis is always looming over us.
Surface that we are all so familiar with.
And there's something different about the denizens of the planet too,
and cleansing
which is us. It's why we're so powerful and we can defeat these giant baddies.
Vigilant watch over Azeroth came not from some innate desire to order a chaotic universe, but rather the act of kin protecting an unborn member of their family, holding off dangers and infections until that moment when their sister, the most powerful of all the world's souls, can be born, as every other member of the Pantheon were before. And now, with the World Soul Saga stretching out ahead of us for the next 3 expansions, with the promise that its conclusion will see a climax of the last 20 years of World of Warcraft storytelling and narrative threads, it feels like more than ever we are on the clock, that Azeroth's arrival is imminent, and that one way or another, sometime soon, this planet's getting born.
Great music.
So I think now is a good time to finally make this video that we've been meaning to make since Legion, and ask, what happens when Azeroth is born? Or at least that would have been the video if we had made it in Legion, but now I am still very interested to know what becomes of our world and the game and the world soul itself when Azeroth is born. I still wonder how that actually works and what happens to us when it does.
This is kind of like what I imagine it being like. If we're like just an incubator or an egg, it just breaks open and we all die, but she comes out. I don't know. That could be how it's done. We could, in fact, be just, she could be in hibernation. I personally think, and like I said, fan theorized and all that stuff, that she is alive already and born, but in fact imprisoned. She's in an eternal slumber. Perhaps the Emerald Dream is being used to keep her asleep. But she is there, and evidently in the next expansion, The War Within, she's awakened, right? She's talking more and everything like that. But she's still imprisoned. That's the thing. The Titans are keeping her in prison. That's what I believe, and there's a reason for that. What that reason is, I guess we'll find out. But when she breaks free from that prison, is this what it looks like? It would be bad for us.
Now, I have so many more questions besides. New revelations in Dragonflight have turned everything we thought we knew about Azeroth and her existence on its head, to the extent that we are now left asking,
Azeroth's oil.
What if Azeroth isn't a Titan at all? What if Arm and Thule and the Pantheon are just one team in a galactic arms race to claim world souls for themselves, just the same as the Void and the Fel and every other separate reality that makes up the WoW cosmos? And the Titan machines and facilities we see all over the planet's surface are not protecting the world soul, but corrupting it. What state is Azeroth even in? What does she want? And will we be in a position by the end of the final chapter of the World Soul Saga, the last Titan, to help her achieve it? I am starting to very much believe that these guys are what we need to be protecting Azeroth against.
Ooh. There it is.
The World Soul.
Yeah, see, the comment about Sargeras stabbing her, I actually don't believe that's what he was trying to do. I personally think that he was trying to break her free from her prison. And these prisons are essentially made up of those rotating rings, you know, the same rotating rings that we saw the Incarnates imprisoned in, right? And I feel like he was just trying to jam his sword into those rings to jam up the system and free her. Now, whether he wanted to free her for a good reason or just so she could, you know, he could mess up his siblings, his Titan siblings' plans or whatever it was, I think that he wasn't trying to kill her. He wasn't trying to kill her, but he, like I said, he was in fact trying to just free her from this prison, essentially. And I'll pull this up real quick. I mean, this is the prison I'm talking about. And I've shown this before on other streams and things. This, right here. You see how it works? There's essentially these rotating rings. And if you notice, the rings themselves stop spinning. And that's when it breaks. They stop rotating. Bam, that shit breaks. And we talked about the Azeroth cinematic and everything like that, the War Within cinematic. And the way Azeroth is depicted, the outer shell, you know, that voice that Thrall and them, it looks just like this. It looks just like this outer wall here of this, you know, this prison bubble that, this is what Iridikron was in. So all that shit, it seems pretty accurate, that she is not, in fact, you know, just waiting to hatch. She's ready to go, but she's imprisoned.
Living in our planet, which
and
is
Sargeras was trying to jam that prison and mess it up.
Goes according to plan, one day be born. But how does that actually work exactly? Because, and not to put too fine a point on it, but it could be very, very bad news for us, the tiny amoeba-like residents of the planet.
Burn, thank you for the sub, man. Welcome to our Scourge. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Using your prime here.
Depending on what form that birth takes. When we originally conceived of this video 7 years ago, it was basically going to be a list video, like what are the different ways that Azeroth could be born. It's not a list video anymore, but here are the 3 main scenarios we came up with. Scenario 1, Azeroth is Azeroth, i.e. the Unicron scenario. In this possibility, Azeroth is not just the conscious world soul within our planet, but the very planet itself is Azeroth's entire physical form, meaning that her birth isn't so much being born as we would understand it. She isn't delivered so much as she kind of unravels, stretches out, reshaping the land we live on into her true form. This is actually the scenario most like one is described by Chronicle, where it says the Titans were as living worlds. Cosmic winds howled across their gigantic forms, bodies shrouded in a cloak of stardust, skin
I don't think
with
this is
silvery
the
mountain peaks and oceans shimmering with latent magic. This does very much conjure the image of a nice round planet reassembling into a Titan like a transformer, with all the materials and topography that made up the land of the planet before now forming their body. This would, I think it is probably safe to assume, be an incredibly bad scenario for us, the inhabitants of Azeroth. It would tear our world apart, destroying everything we know. At worst, we would all be killed.
I mean, essentially, we'd just be like the tits of Azeroth, the Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor. I don't think this is what it is.
At best, it would make the planet effectively uninhabitable, seeing as it would be no longer a planet at all. Orgrimmar isn't on Kalimdor anymore, it's on Azeroth's knee. I guess a Goldshire would be the crotch area, and Booty Bay would be The toes, obviously, because it's really far south. What did you think I was going to say? It would make travel completely impossible. 1 second Northrend is right next to Pandaria because Azeroth is scratching her elbow. The next is up by Feralis because she's picking her nose. And of course, wherever in the universe she goes, and they do get about those Titans, we go. So the constellations would be constantly shifting. I don't even want to think about the tides. Basically, it would be an absolute nightmare.
Yeah,
the only good
I
thing
don't think
about
it's
the
this
Unicorn
theory.
scenario is the potential cinematic where newly formed Azeroth pulls Sargeras' sword out of her own body to then wield it as her weapon. And yes, that would be awesome, but frankly, not worth all the other bullshit. Basically, if this is how world souls are born, we're taking that world soul down.
The maelstrom is the butthole.
Scenario 2. The world is an egg, i.e. the kill the moon scenario. Azeroth is a big ball of glowy light inside a big old Earth.
This is what I'm talking about. This image of Azeroth from the War Within cinematic looks exactly like the wall of the prison that Eridikron was in the Razageth cinematic. Same shit.
Crust, and the planets are described as forming around nascent world souls. So what if, when she's ready, Azeroth just bursts on through like a chicken from the egg? Or like that Doctor Who episode Kill the Moon, where a massive dragon is born out of the moon because the moon is an egg. Didn't you even know the moon was an egg? And you know, isn't that kind of what happened with Argus? Wasn't the world soul of that planet ripped out of the center of the globe to form in the seat of the Pantheon? This is what a planet looks like when a world soul has been born, right? Well, no, actually. Argus is collapsing in on itself because of the massive amount of fell corruption throughout it. And possibly because of the whole using the Argus world soul as a huge battery to fuel their Legion army thing too. There is nothing to suggest.
Yeah, I don't think Argus was collapsing because of the world soul had hatched out or anything. I think it was collapsing because of all the, it was like a piece of the maelstrom at one, you know, all the demon souls were being brought back to this place. It was like a literal resurrection chamber, I guess. So all that magic and all that shit, and the maelstrom itself is always described as very volatile and all that. I think it was making it fall apart.
That when Argus was born, he popped out of it like Marilyn Monroe from a particularly corrupted birthday cake. But having said that, there's nothing to suggest there's much typical about the birth of Argus at all. Having been through 10,000 years of torture, being kept as said battery, and then he wasn't really born at all, but kind of
he was like summoned,
Does that make a difference? Would a Titan that's allowed to awaken naturally, uncorrupted, untortured, without all that interference from the Burning Legion and the Jailer, but you know...
By the way, real quick, this whole thing is fucked up. The fact that their sibling had been corrupted, the Titans knew their sibling was being corrupted by their other sibling Sargeras, and their solution was our sibling here has been corrupted. We're gonna summon him to our pantheon because all these heroes are here, and then let the heroes beat the ever-living shit out of him. That's our solution. We're gonna kill our sibling instead of trying to cleanse him in some way or fix this or do something about it. These heroes are here. Hey, guys, why don't you kill this guy? Why don't you kill our friend for us here?
All that interference
such a messed up scenario.
And the Jailer, but you know,
poor Argus, man.
Awaken differently, who can say? But if Azeroth does crack open our planet like an egg to be born, that is also obviously going to be very bad news for us. If we're super lucky, there's just like one massive hole in a part of the globe that we don't really use or have ever really seen yet.
Maybe
but
she
it
comes
could
out from
potentially
Maelstrom.
work as another cataclysm, the omletism, where whole areas of our world are completely wrecked. What if Azeroth's egg birth ripped the world into multiple different parts and Azeroth became all floaty sections like Outland?
Maybe.
No one wants to be.
As some people say that Azeroth being born will be the beginning of WoW 2. That, in fact, it will destroy Azeroth, but then she will remake the planet. And then we have a revamped WoW 2, essentially. Could
like
be.
Outland, right? We definitely don't want that. Scenario 3, the manifestation, i.e. the ego scenario. What if, when Azeroth is born, her
Somebody in chat already said this, like ego from Marvel,
to the planet, without causing any damage to the globe itself at all? Maybe part of our helping her is to create a safe outlet for her pure energy form to find its way into space, where she is
I think this could be possible.
Born. I think most of us would see this as something of a cop-out, but seeing as it would also be by far the easiest way to make her birth happen in game, you gotta say overall it's probably the most likely, as well as being
I mean, this would be more like how Argus was born, right? He was kind of just like, he manifested outside of the planet. We didn't ever witness the planet break open when they summoned him. He kind of just showed up. He
least
materialized.
impact on the game world for players and devs to deal with. Is that a good thing?
Oh,
As
there
we
you
went
go,
over
Bush.
these different theories,
Yeah,
for how
ego
the
for
World
Marvel.
Soul
That was
could
your
be
comment.
born, the same thought probably occurred to many of you as it did to us. Whatever happens, it definitely seems to be an ideal moment for a massive redesign of the in-game world.
Thanks, Alex.
The fabled
I
and
try, man.
long-awaited world revamp could definitely be a part of any of these three scenarios. So much could the remaining planet be changed and scarred. You basically have free reign to do anything you wanted to it. And that could definitely happen. I suspect it will on some level, but it's not the thing that bothers me most, not by a long shot. When we first started thinking about this video in 2016, the whole question of whether Azeroth's birth would be a good or bad thing for our player characters and the inhabitants of the world was based very much on wondering exactly what would be left of our planet after she woke up. What she was never a problem because she was a Titan, right? And they are basically, well, good. Or at least they aren't fundamentally bad and in direct opposition to the safety and continued life of our player characters, which is about as good as you can get in the WoW universe.
Are the Titans not in opposition? They literally have a re-origination chamber that could just totally wipe us out at any minute. I think the Titans allow us to exist just because we keep fighting off the void. We're essentially like the immune system of the planet, and they're allowing us to exist because we're helping their cause. What if we lost? To Bernardito, to your comment, what if we end up losing? I think we are going to lose. We're going to lose during the Infinity Saga. I'd say that's almost guaranteed. Blizzard, I called it the Infinity Saga, did I? The World Soul Saga. I was going to say Blizzard literally said they took inspiration during one of the dev interviews. They took inspiration from the Infinity Saga for the World Soul Saga. And what happened in the Infinity Saga? The Avengers lost. The Avengers did lose. They had an epic battle where they lost, and they had to come back from that and eventually figure out a way to turn that loss into a win. And I think the same thing's going to happen to us. I think the War Within, we're going to have some crazy stuff going on, and probably in Midnight or at the end of War Within, we're going to lose. We're going to lose. And then eventually in the Last Titan, we're going to find our way back to a winning scenario. But I definitely think we're going to lose at some point. Like you said, we haven't lost, and we are due for a loss.
Was the potential that she had been successfully corrupted by the old gods and she might pop
wipe
out
all servers and create the universe of Warcraft?
She would still have been a Titan,
VR system.
just a bad Titan as opposed to the Pantheon's good Titans. Because World Souls are Titans, right?
The Empire Strikes Back, yeah.
With recent hints, reveals, and revelations,
that's another one.
All of them from Dragonflight, and what we've seen of the upcoming The War Within, whether or not the entire Earth's crust collapses in on itself and crushes the entire planet to death is hilariously not even potentially our biggest problem at all. Is Azeroth even a Titan? There are multiple big signposts.
I'm starting to think more and more that she isn't. I'm starting to think that she is more powerful than a Titan, personally. She could be like the balance of void and light. She could herself be that balance. I don't know. The thing is, like the whole title of The Last Titan, I'm not sure that it's referring to her. It might not be.
Is not a
Sargeras could be the last Titan if we kill all the others. Who knows?
A bit stupid to even suggest when we're about to embark on a 3-expansion-long World Soul saga, the final installment of which is called The Last Titan. I know, but bear with me here. Starting backwards, we can look at the raid ending cinematic for the Amirdrasil raid, where the dragon aspects are empowered by the World Soul herself, gaining back their aspectral. I'm sorry, I don't like it any more than you do, but it's
who made the Titans? Was it Azeroth? Maybe.
Sort of. Like I say, it is Azeroth empowering them, and as we have kind of been mentioning all video, Azeroth is a Titan.
This right here is she a Titan? This was an anti-Titan move, right? Kind of. I mean, the Titans could have given the aspects their powers back, and they never did. Maybe there was a reason for that, and then all of a sudden Azeroth does?
So it is just a little weird that the aspects say stuff like,
"This is not the Titan's magic."
Ah, there you go. There you go. If the empowerment of them came from Azeroth, wouldn't it feel the same as it did before? They're saying this feels different.
Is of our world.
Because, you know, if there's one group of people that know what it feels like to be empowered by actual Titan magic, you'd have to say it would be the aspects. And that got me thinking, like, do the dragons actually know that Azeroth is supposed to be a Titan world soul? In the first place, Chronicle says that they were never told. And up until the very end of Dragonflight, the only person to have ever heard her voice is Magni. And actually, he's never literally heard a voice in the same way that Thrall and Anduin, and we now know Jaina have as we go into War Within, he just gets
Right.
feelings from it. But whatever those feelings are, it's enough for him to think that Azeroth is telling him she's a Titan. And at the beginning of Legion, Magni tells Khadgar and Bran and us that Azeroth is a Titan. But I don't know if that's now common knowledge or if it was supposed to be a big secret. In fairness, if it was, I was the perfect person to tell, because my mute mime show of a character is probably the best secret keeper on the planet.
N'Zoth is still alive. He's using our bodies as Horcruxes. He's still alive. Just saying.
To be fair, when the aspects refer to Azeroth
Side note
in
from the
BFA
Azeroth
and
stuff.
Dragonflight, as far as I can tell from reviewing old footage, they never refer to her as a Titan.
He's the Ultimate
just
Planner.
the world. And Magni never refers to Azeroth as a Titan in front of them to put them straight. And I might be wrong. If there is a bit where they acknowledge her as a Titan, please let me know in the comments, seriously. But here's the thing, that would be interesting if they didn't know she was a Titan previously, but it doesn't actually matter. Whether they thought Azeroth was a Titan or not, once they get empowered by her, once they feel the energy coursing through them, they say it is not Titan magic. It's like if I take all day telling you that there is water in this mug, and you have no reason to doubt me until you take a sip for yourself, at which point you realize, no, Taliesin, that's gin. And I'm like, yo, get off my case, man. You try having two young kids and running
it's a great
YouTube
example.
channel for my love. The fact
He
is,
puts it in a
once
good way.
they tasted Azeroth, as it were, the dragons know this ain't the advertised Titan shit, you know?
Josima, he cracked me up. She, instead of saying she is a Titan, maybe he was saying she's tight and. Yeah, that's right. Magni was getting off to the thought of Azeroth. I definitely agree with this. Whether or not they said she was a Titan before, whether it's a retcon, who knows? Maybe Blizzard's playing with the lore a little bit. But the closest anybody has gotten to knowing what a Titan would be the aspects. They know what it feels like to be empowered by them. And they are specifically saying in this cinematic that this feels different. This doesn't feel like the Titan empowerment they had before. So that's 100%. I think this is the biggest hint that she is not a Titan.
It's why Verinoth is so cool with it too. And this is very interesting, isn't it? Because if Azeroth isn't a Titan, we've got some serious questions to
Didn't
ask
Razageth
about
say you betrayed the
Titans
world?
and why they would lie about.
She did, didn't she? Razageth did say that. The thing is, why does it feel like Razageth knew more than Verinoth does? I feel like Razageth did say things like that we had betrayed the world and all that stuff. Maybe she was just talking about the proto-drakes and everything, that we betrayed the elements. That could be it. But it does feel like she was more knowledgeable than Razageth was. And it makes sense, because whenever somebody's making sense or is knowledgeable in any way, we kill them in World of Warcraft. That's what we do. We kill knowledge. And maybe the Titans are telling us to do that half the time. I don't know. But, Arthas seemed to know a lot. We killed him. Sargeras seemed to know a lot. Well, we imprisoned him, so that's good. He could at least still talk to Illidan and tell him some things. Razageth seemed to know a lot. We killed her. Who else? Deathwing, right? He knew a lot about the Void Never. We killed him. It's a common theme. Anytime somebody knows anything in this game, instead of asking them what's up or trying to figure it out, we just kill them and loot their corpse. It's accurate.
That. The Titans are bad news.
The Jailer. I can't believe I'm saying him. The Jailer, yeah. He knew something. He talked about we cannot stop, what is to come. Well, we killed him.
This list video isn't really a list video, but speaking of lists,
if you know something, you will die.
You've been around on the internet for a while.
That's a common theme in WoW.
A long time. And maybe you started on YouTube, and then you tried a stream or two, and then you started using Twitter as your regular personal therapist.
Yeah, he had
and
my mace.
suddenly you have
Yeah,
all
he had
of
my
these
gavel.
accounts and
That's right.
platforms, but no central hub for them. That's the worst. No, wait, what's
Sam,
actually
you know
the
too much. We
worst
throw
is
off the edge.
calling yourselves Taliesin and Evitel, and then having some accounts called Taliesin Evitel and some Taliesin and Evitel, and you can't just have T and E because that reads Tanda. Ugh. But thankfully, Squarespace, who are sponsoring today's video, have come up with a fix for both of these
We need to go talk to Mommy
problems.
Sylvanas, yeah.
The bio site.
Maybe she
now,
knows
I'm sure
something.
you've seen these before, but Squarespace's bio site builder is superb. Like its main website builder, it's quick,
There you go.
easy, and
Use
has
Squarespace.
plenty of templates to suit your vibe. And best of all, you can put everything on it. YouTube, Twitch, a link to support us on Patreon.
Wow, look at that.
Whatever social presence you have, you
It's a
can
link
link it
tree.
up here. Even the spicy stuff. The actual bio site builder is a breeze. You can add and remove links with a click, and your frankly beautiful bio site can be live in minutes. I mean, this took literal minutes to make. But look
beautiful.
how good it looks.
That's beautiful.
Such vibes. It might sound silly, but having a place where I can click off to all of our platforms without having to type some variation of our name every time is an absolute game changer for me. And hopefully it will be for you too.
Looks
I
very
actually
cozy.
cannot recommend it enough. Are your social platforms all over the map?
This is where you promote the
Or maybe
OnlyFans.
you've chosen a handle that literally no one can spell. Get your shiz together, quite literally, with your own bio site and a free trial on Squarespace. Once you've seen the light and know there's no going back to your pre-bio site days, just go to squarespace.com/taliesinevitell or use code taliesinevitell to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. That's squarespace.com/taliesinevitell.
If Dragonflight has done anything, it is to absolutely shit on the benevolent golden good guy image of the Titans from a great height. They do weird experiments on dragons. They empower eggs without consent. They keep the whole truth about the Black Empire and other Azerothian history.
They do weird-ass experiments. By the way, we never got... I totally thought we were going to get that cool multi-headed dragon experiment. Multi-headed dragon, wow. Let me see if I could bring him up. There he is, Chromatus, yeah. I really thought we were going to see Chromatus at some point in this expansion. It is a dragon expansion after all, and it looks like Blizzard just kind of skipped out on this lore. But if you don't know who Chromatus is, he's like this insane dragon experiment. Like this, it was like their first iteration of, not Iridic, Galakron, basically. Chromatus was the first successfully formed chromatic dragon. Chromatus had 5 heads and was, had all the powers. He was a Titan creation, completely did this messed up shit. It was a monstrosity. Monstrosity was created by Deathwing's son, Nefarian. Nefarian had tried to create a new dragon. Yeah, it was essentially, they were pushing this shit. And then later on, we got Galakron. But I thought we were going to see him, and we never did. Yeah, we never saw him. And not to mention, was Gahoon? Didn't Gahoon have something to do with the Titans, too? I can't remember if that was the case. Gahoon, WoW, Titans. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Gahoon was accidentally... Yep. I was right, yeah. Gahoon. Here's the Gahoon lore. Gahoon was an old god inadvertently created by the Pantheon during the experiments on an imprisoned old god. There you go. The Titans have done a lot of messed up shit. A lot of messed up shit. And yeah, that was definitely one of them as well. Mr. Gahoon, the blood god. So they've definitely done their fair share of bullshit to this planet.
Secret by official order. They do mind control water. Generally, good guys don't do mind control water.
Yeah, mind control water, that's true.
I'm not flat out saying they are bad guys here, but they definitely got a whole lot sussier than ever before this expansion. And basically, this is how I see it. We
also,
know
Odin is a bitch. We know that too.
Pantheon, Void, and the Legion, so the forces of Fel, are all out looking for world souls the whole time. Sargeras wants to destroy them, we think, which would be a fittingly foul thing to do, but both the Void and the Titans want to birth the world souls. The Pantheon as a true Titan, the Void as a corrupted Titan. But what if those words don't mean exactly what we think? What if a world soul, as it is sleeping and forming within a planet, isn't automatically a Titan waiting to be born? What if they are a super powerful cosmic being, but they actually have no alignment to any of the cosmological powers until it is imprisoned?
They bring balance to the Force. This is what I was saying. I think Azeroth is neither a Titan nor a Void Lord. And this theory kind of goes to that, where they can become one or the other, but I think Azeroth is the one who is not going to become either one. She's going to become neither. I don't know. The English is not Englishing right now. But she is the balance. She is both. She is the intermediary between all the forces, and that's why she's the most powerful, right?
Printed on them. What if the Pantheon
I literally said that 5 minutes ago. Look at the chat.
I
will not give you credit
They're looking for world souls
for my great idea.
they can turn into Titans by looking after them. What if the Void Lords aren't looking for a Titan world soul to corrupt? They're just looking for a world soul to turn into one of their own, in just the same way that the Pantheon
This theory makes sense.
They just do it with old gods and tentacles. The Titans do it with machinery and zappy laser rays. What if they are both corrupting the world soul to turn it into one of their own, just like the Titans did with Virinoth and the other dragon's eggs? If the Titans get there first and complete the transformation, then it's a Titan. If the Void do, it's a Void Lord. If the Light do, they can turn it into some super powerful Naru or something. In the Warcraft universe, exposure to a force is established as being able to change which reality a living thing is aligned with, to the extent that it can literally change the plane of existence that you go to when you die. Kil'jaeden would have gone to the Shadowlands with all the other Draenei, but was so powerfully infused with Fel over millennia that he is now a demon and goes to the Twisting Nether instead. We've even seen this with a Titan before. Argus was secretly infused with death magic by the Dreadlords over thousands of years, so that he went to the Shadowlands when he died. Something the Shadowlands was not built for, and it ended up disabling the Arbiter and causing Shadowlands terrible, terrible news. This could even explain
why does Shadowlands lore have to exist?
Why Azeroth would tell Magni that she's a Titan, because maybe she thinks she is. She's had Titan constructs and facilities shaping her all this time, infusing her with what Blizz now insist on calling order magic, unfortunately, for goodness knows how many thousands of years at this point, after having her Void transformation at the hands of the Black Empire when Armenthul and the gang arrived. As far as she's concerned, she is totally a Titan, like an adopted child, having no reason to doubt that these people she lives with, who call themselves her parents, are so. Maybe the huge revelations that Chris Metzen promises in The Last Titan is Azeroth and us finding out the truth. You're not even my real dad, Armenthul, and, you know, what will she do when she finds out?
What if the Last Titan, like I said, maybe is Sargeras or something, or it's Armenthul and we fight him and kill him in The Last Titan, and he is in fact the Last Titan because with his death, the age of the Titans essentially ends. Right? Like, that is the Last Titan. Midnight maybe is the end of the Void. The Last Titan is the end of the Titans. And then Azeroth, you know, comes to be, and she is balanced. There is no Titan. She's not a Titan. She's not a Void Lord. She is she. I don't know. Like reality, somebody said in the chat. Right? And that's the end of that struggle. That could be it. That actually kind of makes sense to me.
Out. Maybe she's already found now. Maybe that's why she's taken it upon herself to reach out beyond Magni to Anduin and Thrall and Jaina and others. At the end of the Dawn of the Aspects dungeon, Iridikron asks if we know why the Titans protect our particular timeline specifically. The implication is that ours is only the true timeline because it's the one that the Titans like the most. And why would that be? It is almost certainly connected to Azeroth, and at first I thought it was because our timeline is the only one where Azeroth is even a world soul at all.
That's what I thought.
Now I'm thinking, what if the Titans like this timeline and call it the true timeline to be protected at all costs, because ours is the timeline where they managed to get to Azeroth first.
I think ours is the timeline, the one true timeline, as the Titans call it. That's always been a thing for them. They believe in one truth, and the Void believes in many truths, right? They could see all truths. The Titans see one and push everything in that direction. Our timeline is probably the one where Azeroth does become a Titan. That makes sense.
First, but you know what I mean. We know there's an alternative timeline where the Black Empire takes over. Maybe there's one where the forces of the light got to Azeroth first. Maybe there's one where the forces of life did. And side note, it's not really important, but maybe there already is a world soul that was empowered and birthed by the life cosmos in our timeline already.
Yeah, maybe. And here's the thing. That's why I believe, like, us stopping the creation of the infinite dragonflight, essentially. Right, like Malagos and all that stuff. Right, not Malagos. What's it called? Hold on. I'm gonna bring this up real quick. Yeah, Norz Dormu, right? Instead of Norz Dormu going ahead and becoming Murozond, we stopped that from happening. But what's the difference between Norz Dormu and Murozond? The difference is Murozond is an infinite dragon who sees infinite possibilities. I feel like Murozond is his true form. Like, that's the form of him that's the ultimate power. He can see all. Whereas Norse Dormu, his vision's always clouded. He doesn't know what the hell's going on because he only sees one timeline. And essentially, that's what the Titans want. They want him to only see one timeline and help that timeline to happen. Whereas Murozond, he sees infinite timelines. He sees all. And that's not, the Titans don't like that shit. So that's why I feel like us stopping him from becoming Murozond was a mistake. It was not supposed to happen. It kind of messed up. And that's actually what the Titans wanted.
Maybe that's who Elune is. For obvious reasons, the Titans have a vested interest in not allowing those timelines to be their self-designated true one. And granted, there are little details that work as holes in this theory. The most obvious I can think of is that when Armenthul and the Titans first found Azeroth and plucked Yesharaj out of the crust, it left behind the Well of Eternity, which is specifically arcane magic, as in Titan stuff, which does suggest that Azeroth was a Titan from the very start. She literally bleeds Titan. But then that could also be explained away pretty easily. Like maybe the Well of Eternity was actually just very powerful, uncorrupted first one blood. Yeah, I said first one. You're just going to have to sit with that until the Titan shaping and zapping and manipulation had done enough to turn her blood into arcane magic, which is when the Dark Trolls found it. Makes sense to me. They are both alien entities changing the naturally occurring spirit-centric makeup and structure of the planet. Why do we only call one of those corruption? And look, it's impossible not to notice at this point the logo of the last Titan expansion. What looks to be the conclusion of all of this, and the gold Titan bar swirling around the spherical background.
It's a prison.
Like a globe, right? That's meant to suggest a globe. There are globes that exist in-game in Titan facilities that have similar gold bars around them. Nothing sus about that at all, right? Except, you know, we've seen something recently that looks even more like the last Titan logo in-game, and it's not a nice cozy globe for your study. It's the literal prison cells.
It's a prison. Azeroth is a prison. I'm gonna keep saying it until everyone believes me.
The primal incarnates were locked away inside for thousands of years, locked away by the dragon aspects, who were empowered by and fighting in the name of the Titans. And to be clear, these aren't a little bit similar, they are the exact same thing. Same runes, everything. This is a Titan prison. This is a Titan prison. And why are the words "the last Titan"? And most of us, I think, fairly assume that the titular Titan in question is Azeroth.
Hold on. You're letting me cook? Let me cook.
This world is a prison.
The fuck out of here. She literally told us. Come on.
It's placed a prison. Inside a Titan prison. Is it because Azeroth knows what she is and doesn't want to become a Titan any more than she would want to become a void entity? More and more, I'm thinking that the climax of the World Soul saga will indeed be the birth of Azeroth, the World Soul, but not necessarily Azeroth, the Titan World Soul. More and more, I think that the revelations Chris Metzen refers to will actually lead to us breaking Azeroth free of the Titan's control, allowing her to be born herself, pure and something else. Whatever that may be. A first one. I think Azeroth is a first one. And obviously, this isn't even really a theory,
Azeroth
but
is a
wild
first
speculation. This is where I'm at with my thinking about Azeroth and indeed any other world souls right now. But what do you think? I always find the comments to these type of videos really interesting because I love hearing everyone's contrasting theories, but also little details that I may have missed or forgotten in putting this together. So generally, let us know in the comments below. Special thanks this video to Discordian Kitty, our co-writer, Evo Wow, who made the models for those Azeroth being born animations for us in 2019. Like I say, this video has been on the cards for a while, and you'll have noticed loads of cool art of Azeroth that we found on DeviantArt in this video as well. There are links to every single image that we use in the description below, so go and give them some love and some money. And thank you for joining us today. If you like this video, don't thank us, thank our patrons who give their actual real life money to make all of our work happen. And seriously, patrons, thank you, because without you, there would be a whole lot less Taliesin and Evertal.
Great video.
If you didn't like it, downvote the shit out of it. Remember, my name is Blizzard Watch. No, my name is Taliesin from me and Evertal. Until next time, cheerio! And give Blizzard Watch all your money, they're awesome.
That was a great video. Oh, Jesus, that's loud. That was a great video. Great video. My conclusion in all of his theories is the one that Azeroth is not in fact a Titan, not a Void Lord. She's something in between. That's what I think. That's what I think is the truth. Azeroth is not still waiting to hatch. She is in fact imprisoned, and we are at some point going to free her in the World Soul Saga. And that's what happens. Book it, mark it, fucking clip it, do whatever you want. It's going to be on YouTube anyway, so it's immortalized. But there you go.